A girl in light clothing was wandering around the house. She opened the fridge and picked up an apple, but as she turned around, she saw a burly man standing at the door, staring at her with a gun in hand. Before she could recover from the shock, another man, a fat one, appeared outside. She immediately called her boyfriend to drive the two intruders away. But instead, her boyfriend opened the door and invited them into the villa. Any man could tell their intentions weren't good, yet the boyfriend not only ignored this, but made an excuse to leave, deliberately leaving the girl alone with the two men. The girl tried to hide in a room, but the bearded man followed her. He sat close to her and began harassing her openly. Realizing the danger, she tried to escape, but the bearded man seized the opportunity and pinned her against the glass. Just as he was about to take things further, he noticed the fat man watching from the doorway. The girl begged the fat man for help, but he ignored her and even locked the door. Her screams echoed in the room as the fat man turned up the TV volume to drown them out. Even after stepping outside, the fat man's desires didn't subside. He took off his shirt and jumped into the pool. Soon, the boyfriend returned to the villa. He knew exactly what had happened, but didn't confront the two men despite their guilty looks. When the girl regained consciousness, her boyfriend was leaning over her. He tempted her with money, asking her to serve the two men again, promising her 20 million rupees afterward. Heartbroken, she realized the man she loved had orchestrated her ordeal. She just wanted to go home, threatening to call the police if they didn't let her. But the boyfriend dropped his pretense. He punched her in the face and humiliated her, saying she was just a replaceable toy to him. Devastated, the girl saw her chance when he turned away and bolted out the door. Realizing things were going south, the boyfriend chased after her, with the two men following. Barefoot, she ran over sharp stones, driven by a fierce will to survive. The three men pursued relentlessly, giving her no chance to rest. Her luck ran out when she reached a cliff blocking her path. After a moment's hesitation, the men caught up. With no escape, she threatened to jump to her death. Panicked that things were escalating, the boyfriend apologized, claiming he didn't mean to hit her. He pulled out his phone, promising to call a helicopter to take her home. The girl lowered her guard slightly, but in the next moment, a tree branch pierced her chest. Certain she couldn't survive, the men planned to destroy all evidence. They burned her belongings to erase her existence. Meanwhile, her blood dripped onto the ground, attracting flesh-eating ants that began devouring her skin. Miraculously, the intense pain brought her back to consciousness. Looking around, she realized she had fallen off the cliff. Ignoring her agony, she grabbed earphones from the ground and, with all her strength, reached for a lighter nearby. She gathered dry grass, placed it under the branch, and struggled to light a fire. To escape, she had to endure the burning pain. After a long ordeal, the branch finally snapped, and she fell to the ground. Before she could catch her breath, she heard an engine roaring. The three men were coming toward the cliff. Crawling through the sand despite her pain, she hid in a blind spot among the rocks just as they arrived. They saw only the charred remains of the fire, not her. Fearing she'd report them if she escaped, the bearded man panicked, but the boyfriend dismissed it, saying her injuries were too severe to survive the desert. They began tracking her, following her blood trail until nightfall when they reached the cliff's base. The trail led to a river where it vanished. They found the hunt thrilling, more exciting than real hunting. To catch her faster, they split up, leaving the fat man to guard the area in case she doubled back. Hidden by the river, the girl spotted him and submerged herself until he passed. She crept along the riverbank, planning to get close and strike back. When the fat man stepped away to relieve himself, she saw his rifle left behind. They faced off for a long time. Despite her rage, she hesitated to kill, but to avoid further danger, she pulled the trigger, only to hear a click. The rifle was empty. The fat man attacked, beating her mercilessly until she couldn't fight back. He radioed his accomplices. The bearded man cheered as if he'd won the lottery. The fat man grabbed her hair, dunking her repeatedly in the water, relishing her suffering. Unbeknownst to him, she was planning her counterattack. She grabbed the knife from his belt and stabbed it into his eye. He thrashed in the water briefly, before going still. She took his motorcycle and sped toward the desert's edge. but the fuel ran out quickly. She hid in a cave, lit a fire, and checked the fat man's bag. It held supplies, including a flashlight, all potentially useful. She downed a can of beer and examined her gruesome wound, a branch still lodged in her chest. She had to remove it. Lifting her clothes was agonizing. She swallowed a pack of painkillers, cut open a can with the knife, sterilized it with the lighter, and sliced the skin around the wound. Forcing the branch out, blood poured, so she heated the can and pressed it to the wound. The searing pain knocked her out. Meanwhile, the bearded man was washing his face by the lake when a body floated up. Terrified, he hid in his car, venting his fear on the steering wheel. The boyfriend, seeing the body, realized the girl was alive. The bearded man, now hysterical, babbled about turning himself in. When the girl woke, her wound had stopped bleeding, and the eagle pattern from the can was permanently etched on her skin. Reborn, she was ready for vengeance. She cautiously peered from the cave, using binoculars to track her enemies. Spotting a glint, she soon located the bearded man's car. She watched his movements, waiting for her chance. When he stopped to refuel, she aimed the rifle at his head. But the recoil knocked her down, and the bullet only hit his arm. Determined, she chased him to the car, but he had fled. His blood trail guided her until it vanished at a turn, leaving only a shoe. Unaware he was hiding above, the bearded man loaded his rifle, planning a sneak attack. His injured arm shook, and his shot grazed her ear. She grabbed the rifle and ran as he fired repeatedly, trying to overwhelm her with gunfire. She smashed the flashlight, scattering glass shards. The barefoot bearded man stepped on them, halting his pursuit. He climbed into his car, aiming to run her down. She stole his car and heard the boyfriend's voice on the radio. Her eyes burned with resolve as she resumed her hunt. The boyfriend, unable to reach the bearded man, realized the gravity of his mistake. He had underestimated a woman's vengeance. He called for a helicopter to escape the desert, but before he could, the girl arrived at the door, rifle in hand. Her rage consumed her. His excuses were now for the devil to hear.